Hello and welcome to another Modswell video. I'm your host Maxwell. Today I'm going to be doing another Fallout 4 video, but this time I will be talking about the weapons I'm using in my zombie apocalypse build. Whilst I'm replacing just about every weapon in the game, I'm going to be talking about a few key parts of this setup. Namely the weapons you saw me fighting with in the last video, as they actually gained quite a bit of attention. I'll also be sharing some advice about how you can replace every type of weapon in the game with something that suits your own style. First off, I want to talk about the bow I was using. This is from a mod known as LString Bow. As a long-time player of Skyrim, I was really excited to see this mod, but the main draw, pardon the pun, is that a bow is silent, which fits the ethos I'm trying to build in a zombie game. LString Bows gives us 4 different types of bow: wood, Mongol, recurve and compound bows. All 4 of these can fire any of the 13 types of arrow as well. Different arrows cover different damage types, including explosive, burning and bleed. You can switch between arrow type on Xbox by crafting an arrow switcher at the chem station, but don't worry, there is no cost attached to this. Each of the arrows and of course bows come with their own custom models that suit the world of Fallout really well. They also come with custom first person animations, including a bow drawer with lots of intricate moving parts. This makes the bows fairly easy to use, especially for players of Skyrim, but in honesty there are a few downsides to this mod. The first is simply that the third person animations are pretty much non-existent, so if you're after playing that style, these probably won't suit you. Another issue is simply the cost of 187 megabytes. That's a huge chunk of your 2 GB allowance. I'd say that this is the weapon of choice if you're role-playing certain styles, especially if ammo economy is a sticking point to your play, as creating the arrows isn't too hard. The L-string act like many other weapon types with various ways of customizing them, from the arrow types it fires, the 3 styles of bayonets, 3 separate scopes on the higher level bows and multiple colour options as well to make sure yours stands out. And just like the other weapons in this game, you will need the requisite perks to create and upgrade these bows. However, you will find them in static locations around the map, so it's time to go hunting. I was also using crossbows in my last video, and that gained some attention too, because if you're thinking zombies, your mind is likely not far away from The Walking Dead and its standout character Daryl, the crossbow wielding zombie slayer. Just like the bows, this was simply a weapon I had to have in this order. And luckily enough, I stumbled across crossbows of the Commonwealth. These crossbows are silent and deadly, which makes them perfect for what I'm building, but even if you aren't playing a zombie load order, these will still find their place. The crossbows have 3 separate types: standard, hunting and compound. Each of these have different frames that include extra damage types such as flaming and plasma. They can all fire any of the 9 types of bolt, which again vary in damage type and even sound, which means that the larger damage bolts will gain you some extra potentially unwanted attention, but they will cause more damage, so sometimes that's just necessary. We also get 4 stocks, 12 scopes, 4 stirrups similar to bayonets alongside 3 strings that dictate damage and reload speed, so there is plenty to play around with here. Crossbows and their bolts are craftable at the chem station. You will also find them on raiders, so be careful to place this lower than anything that changes their level list for the best experience. As a fun and immersive side note, both the arrows from L-string and the bolts from crossbows of the Commonwealth are retrievable from targets that you've hit. This allows you to manage ammo economy that bit better, as well as use different objects as target practice too. Crossbows of the Commonwealth comes in at a fairly substantial 81.6 megabytes, but when you consider all that it does and how great it looks and plays, that's fairly reasonable. In terms of immersive weapons, this has to be a top tier choice. For the rest of the weapons, I simply look for modern weapon replacers. I choose the weapons I'm not fond of and find a way to improve that situation. For example, I'm not overly fond of the assault rifle, it's large and clunky. However, modders have given us a bunch of options that suit my style far better. Say I want to replace that clunky assault rifle with the RU556. I simply download that weapon type alongside modern weapon replacer RU556 assault rifle only, and that's done. I now have a far better model for my assault rifle. Also, as a side note, the Hypermerge 3 includes the RU556, HKUMP, G36 and HKMP7, all for 146 megabytes. Which is pretty much cheaper than any of those weapons individually. This is great because the modern weapon replacers all accept those, meaning that you have 4 top tier weapons that you could slot into any leveled list pretty easily. Personally, I'm a fan of things like the Springfield Armory, AK-74M and the FAMAS. Using those and the modern weapon replacers, I'm able to create a far better looking and performing weapon loot list. A lot of this will come down to preferences though, so I highly suggest bringing up a sheet with all of the weapon types in the game and searching for their replacers. Be sure to search the merge packs for the cheapest coverage too. Because of all the space you will have saved with this method, you'll even be able to add more weapons to the game. I highly recommend checking out Doombased and Skibada, who have some amazing work at reasonable costs, all of which are added to the leveled list safely as to not interfere with other mods and replacers. But in essence, this is how I created my own version of the weapons loot system. I've tried to tailor the style of weaponry I've added to the game to fit the zombie apocalypse, but there are so many options out there that would suit all manner of playstyles. I'm going to link some mod authors who make the modern weapon replacer mods in the description below so you can find what's possible for you. I would love to hear what you end up going with, so do leave a comment with those. But for now, I am going to call it. If you'd like to talk Fallout, Skyrim or a whole bunch in between, please check out the description for a link to my Discord server as well as the mods mentioned today. If this has helped, I would as always appreciate those likes, comments and subscriptions. They let me know that you want more content like this. Either way, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.